I don't know if I'm blaming Apple or I don't know who I'm blaming for this. Um, but was reading the Constitution. That's crazy. I was reading the Constitution of the United States, and I read the entire first article of the Constitution of the United States. So this first article is broken into 10 sections. I read all 10 of them while I was on the live stream. The crazy thing is, although I read 10 articles or 10 sections, I had, I'm guessing she was like some type of law person, because she recommended that I read another legal document, the Magna Carta of 1215. And so she asked me, she was like, hey, are you supposed to be muted? Oh, she said no sound. What's up, baby? What?
She cooking. She needs you to change him.
Oh. Oof.
Sorry, Sammy.
Ouch.
I'll go get you the bathroom light.
Yeah, that was his head. This is my little sleep buddy. Ooh. You. Sammy. Sammy. You stink. That's cold. That's how my wife feel. She had me the baby, say here, the baby broke. So, yeah, man, she walked in there. I mean, she came in the live and she was like, hey, you don't have no sound. I had read 7 sections with no sound. So I was like on this little pamphlet, I was on page 3. I read all the way to page 8. And it was probably about 15 minutes worth of reading that literally had 0 sound. I mean, that is so crazy to me that something like that could happen and nobody in the live say anything. Hey, White Wolf. Because it was crazy to me, because I'm like, I'm reading, and at first it was like 29 people, and then I noticed it dropped down a little bit. I'm like, okay, all right, well, everybody's not interested, super motivated by just hearing law. So whatever, it is what it is. But I still had a good amount of people, and I'm sitting up here just like I'm just cooking, reading it, everybody learning, everybody hearing, and familiarizing themselves with the law. And they were just looking at me, watching me look stupid. Until one precious soul just said, hey, you ain't got no sound player. So shout out to that lady. But yeah, I gotta change this diaper though. So yeah. As soon as I can get rid of this baby, we're gonna get back into this Constitution. Cause
Daddy, the ants are carrying eggs.
okay. All right. So we're gonna go on a pause real quick, cause his parts don't need to be on TV, right? Right. Boy, get off of that. Stop. You little jumbo pop. I think a mosquito just bit me. Oh, nice present. Thank you. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you, play. Man, this the part I'm like, man. This part kind of sucked, man. I need you. Look, Sammy, look at me. I need you to, Sammy, I need your attention. Look at me. It's you gonna have to potty train, okay? No, not no nah. Yeah, ain't no ha ha ha. I ain't laughing. I'm serious, man. You nasty. You nasty. Stinky. Can you say stinky? Can you say stink? Say stink. Say stink. Stink. Can you say stink? Huh? Stink. Can you say that? You can't say that? Well, you can sure do it. All right, change plans. So, we'll not be reading the entire Constitution at one sitting. I will likely have to combine it over, you know what, it's how many articles? I should know that, right? But I don't. 12 articles? I don't know. 10 articles? Nope. 7 articles. 7 articles, and then you got the amendments. You got 27 amendments. Okay. Longest article, let me see. First article has 10 sections, right? Second article has 4 sections. Third article has 3 sections. Fourth article has 4 sections. Fifth article, no sections. Sixth article, no sections. Seventh article, no sections. And then you got 27 amendments. So that's cool. But again, I'm just kind of doing this as a project because I'm going to read the document and then I'm going to provide a commentary, a social commentary on the document and how it impacted blacks. And we're gonna kind of like step through the history of when all of these things were being ratified and what was going on in the country. It's gonna be like a big project probably, and it probably take a little while, but that's okay. We're gonna undertake it nonetheless. Anyway, no, I shouldn't be chewing gum while I'm reading this, but it is what it is. So I will just start reading where the last recording kind of cut out. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal from office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office of honor, trust, or profit under the United States. But the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to law. Hey, Brad. Section 4. The times, places and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. But the Congress may at any time, by law, make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December. And that stipulation was changed by Section 2 of the 20th Amendment, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 5. Each House shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. But a smaller number may adjourn from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner, and under such penalties as each House may provide. See Texas. Each House may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of two-thirds expel a member. Each House shall keep a journal of its proceedings, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may be in their judgment require secrecy. And the yeas and nays of the members of either House on any question shall, at the desire of one-fifth of those present, be entered on the journal. Neither House, during the session of Congress, shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. Section 6. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time. And no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during the continuance in office. Section 7. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it becomes law, be presented to the President of the United States. If he approve, he shall sign it, but if not, he shall return it with his objections to that House in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. If after such reconsideration two-thirds of that House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other House, by which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by two-thirds of that House, it shall become a law. But in all such cases, the votes of both houses shall be determined by yeas and nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each house respectively. If any bill shall not be returned by the president within 10 days, Sundays excepted, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall be a law, in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress by their adjournment prevent its return, in which case it shall not be a law. Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and House of Representatives may be necessary, except on question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disproved by him, shall be repassed by two-thirds of the Senate and House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States, to borrow money on the credit of the United States, to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states, and with the Indian tribes, to establish an uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States, to coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures, to provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States, to establish post offices and post roads, to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries, to constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations, to declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer term than 2 years, to provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulation of the land and naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrection, and repel invasions, to provide for organizing army and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving to the states respectively and the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline prescribed by Congress, to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district not exceeding 10 miles square, as may, by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of the government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislature of the state in which the same shall be, for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers, and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or officer thereof. Section 9. The migration of or importation of such persons as any of the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall not be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year 1808, but a tax or duty may be imposed on such importation, not exceeding $10 for each person. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended, unless when in cases of rebellion or invasion the public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. No capitation or other direct tax shall be laid, unless in proportion to the census or enumeration herein before directed to be taken. Changed by the 16th Amendment. No tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties in another. No money shall be drawn from the treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. I'm gonna read that again because I kind of that stuck out to me. No money shall be no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. So you're not supposed to accept gifts from anybody from a foreign state unless you got the consent of Congress. Okay. Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any imposts or duties on imports or exports, except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws, and the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States, and all such laws shall be subject to the revision and control of the Congress. Just for reference, control is spelled Controul. Control. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, or ships of war in time of peace, either enter into any agreement or compact with another state, or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded, or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. Read that again. No state, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. You can't just be starting war willy-nilly. No state, anyway. So Congress is the body that says, okay, go war, because they're also the body that sets the appropriations based on law. This is why you have to have all these budget bills. So all of this is interesting. This is Article 1. I'm going to go ahead and stop here for now just because this is a lot of reading. And it's a little hot out here. And I was also told by the missus, hey, you need to get up in here and get these kids. So I'm going to go ahead, go grab the kids. I probably, I probably will just be reading, popping up, and reading. But like I said, we're gonna do a video. We're gonna do a video on this, like a commentary of all of these articles, all of these sections. We're just gonna do a commentary on how this document impacted blacks and it's impacting blacks. Obviously, I'm a black man, so um, that's I don't know. Not obviously. You could be interested in a group or how things impact groups and not be a member of that group. But I just have special interest because it specifically impacted you know my ancestors. But the thing that I thought was interesting here was in the first article, it talks about who counted as a person. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined. So how do you count the people? You count the people based on the number of free persons, including those bound to service, so indentured servants for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed. So you can't be represented if you're not being taxed. 3/5 of all other persons. This 3/5 of all other persons was changed by Section 2 of the 14th Amendment. And so this is just this. I don't know, man. Just reading that, it's like it's crazy because the Indians, they basically had to submit to their authority even though they didn't have any representation. And when this document was written, we still had slaves. This was not written before 1865. And so you have this document that's talking about forming a more perfect union and establishing justice and ensuring domestic tranquility and promoting the general welfare and securing the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our children. And that's something else to me. I thought the mute was part of the content somehow last stream. Yeah, man. Um, did you know what I was reading, Jack? I mean, I could see from like an artistic perspective, like, reading the Constitution, but having a video where, although I'm reading and talking and spitting it out, nothing's being heard. I could see that as kind of like a social commentary on maybe the disregarding of the Constitution. I could see that, but that wasn't actually what I was trying to say. I legit thought I was on and had the volume going and everything. The Constitution. Yeah, that's what I was reading. The Constitution. Three-fifths remind me of counting the slaves as people or something. So that's not what it was actually saying. It was saying that because the population, think about it, when the United States was like populated, when it was growing, it grew from north to south. And so the population was higher in the north as opposed to, the south. And so to kind of even the odds, if you will, they gave um, more representation based on the amount of slaves. But slaves didn't have no rights. Nah. They just based like three-fifths, that fraction. What's that? What's three-fifths? 60%? So a little bit more than half. Yeah. So all of this type of stuff, it just is just crazy to me. Because honestly, the only people that were considered in this original document were white men. Not even white women. I mean, you can hear where it says he. And it said he intentionally. When it said he, it meant he. So um, that's just crazy to me. And at the time, it was like it was normal. And so I just wonder what um, I just wonder what things are we taking for granted today that are law, because we know the laws. I mean, not just because it's law doesn't mean it's just. Just because it's law doesn't mean it's right. And so we just have all these blind spots. I guess historically we've had all of these blind spots. So yeah, I still got that belt. It's up in the house, man. Is that the question that you wanted to ask? I don't know why you didn't just ask that question. Blacking out. You finally asked your question. Jack said white landowners more specifically. Um, maybe like that's how it was interpreted, but like I didn't see that language in the actual document talking about people that own land. And the crazy part is, it's like you own land, but like, what about the people that owned it before you? The people that was here before you when you got here. And so it's we don't think that might makes right, but it kind of does. Yeah. Um. Oh, you was asking to be a mod. Yeah. Oh man, it's chill up in here, because when people a lot of times they. So here's the thing. Here's how trolls operate. Trolls don't really get. Um. Trolls, they operate by being fed attention, and if you don't have a lot of people in the room, like on here it says two people. Sometimes YouTube's timer be off. Sometimes it be more than two people. Sometimes it be less than two people. But when you don't have an audience to perform, a lot of times trolls, because like it's like having a one-on-one conversation. Unless somebody has something like psychotically wrong with them, usually you're not going to have a confrontation with a total stranger where you're trying to incite that person to anger or violence. So yeah, to me it's just, I don't know. Trolls don't necessarily like performing without an audience, and I think a part of it is because honestly they just want attention. So yeah, I'm on TikTok now. I almost got like uh, 50 followers, and so some fun things that I've been experiencing and kind of dealing with is like bots. There's bots on there. What time is it where you're at? Where I'm at is 6:16, same time, Central Standard Time. And so, um, learning the the typical strategies of bots. Bots, and we call them bots, but they're like scammers, scam artists. Bots on TikTok right now, they typically consist of like honeypots. It's like somebody will use the picture of an attractive female to get your attention. And once they have your attention, they are going to then try to move you off of the platform that you're using. It's like, hey, it's gonna be some type of random excuse to get you to get you off of the website. And then once you get off that website, that's when the scamming begins. That's when the blackmail begins, because you have like people that there's a ton of people on the internet that are just like lonely, and they're looking for some type of they're looking for someone to notice them and to see them. And again, that's where I think kind of trolls fall in as well. They just, maybe they're lonely, maybe they want to be noticed, maybe they need to be noticed, maybe they're upset and they want to make other people upset, because misery loves company. And I just I don't know. I just think I don't know. I just think there's better things that you can do with your time. But the trolls, yeah. So either they're gonna try to take you off that, they'll try to have you call some other number, and so what I did, like one person was trying to like finesse me, and I said, I put in a little prompt in the Chat GPT, and Chat GPT was like, it gave a rule of thumb. And that rule of thumb was talking about how when they're trying to move you off of the main website, that's like a red flag. Like that's what they do. They're typically not going to try to scam you right there, because TikTok has all these filters and all of these safety nets to kind of protect people, and so they want to keep that scam going. And so I actually ended up getting the person that was trying to scam me. I got them to block me. So I thought that was pretty cool. Cause like once I called out their con and I tried to send a message, and it was like all of a sudden it was blocked. And then what I noticed it did, it it like deleted their picture. Like I couldn't see the picture anymore. It was like user not found, but I still had the chat history. And it was just hilarious to me. I was like, yeah, I guess you just kind of confirmed what I was feeling, because it was just like, I don't know. I find a lot of times, like when you're getting approached, I don't know how it is for females, but I know for guys, like when you're getting approached, usually a female is not gonna just come out and just kind of, I don't know, it's a certain way that females like approach guys. And I felt like I was talking to um a scammer from overseas, honestly, and it felt like it was a guy because guys operate um guys operate differently than women. Let's call them hetero. If we talk about hetero, they operate differently, and so typically, like people impersonating the opposite gender, they're going to kind of, I don't know, they just kind of fish like the opposite gender, I guess. So it's like there's pretending to be a woman, but they're fishing like a man. And so I was like, bro, you a bot. You a bot. And I'm new here, and so I'm still getting the lay of the land, but you're a bot. And I couldn't necessarily like enumerate like why the person was a bot, but when I went to ChatGPT was like, yeah, this is how bots operate, and this is how you can identify them. And then it gave me like something clutch. It's like, this is a script how you could just get rid of a bot. I screenshotted the text and I said, Chat, check this out. Check how the person responded, because I called them out, and and Chat was like, yeah, this is typical. This is typical scammer behavior. Like when you confronted them, they just started backpedaling and they're trying to feign confusion. Like, what are you talking about? I don't get it. Um, but then if you kind of continue on that vein, you're gonna get blocked. So I thought that was funny. It was funny. Um, but I noticed TikTok, man. It's like I feel like TikTok already knows my demographic because um, I'm a black male, and TikTok just puts like nothing but black females in front of me. I don't even see a lot of black males on the like for you FYP for your perspective or whatever it stands for. I don't see him. I just be swiping, it just be nothing but females, and then I'll get like it's almost like a Ponzi scheme. TikTok feels like um, you go there and everybody's trying to sell you like, this is how you get followers, this is how you increase engagement, and this is how you get monetized, because everybody's like trying to hit up or lit. And so it's like you got people that I have 5,000 followers, or I have 10,000 followers, I have 20, and it's all about engagement and engagement strategies, and you got to be on from this time. And I'm like, man, y'all was working hard up in there. But I did get going to somebody's page, and she did put me up on game on live streaming. I think um, a lot of people they want to kind of like see you. People like to say that they was first to the party, they was first to the movement. That's why you don't do TikTok and only YouTube and stuff. No, I'm gonna do TikTok. I'm gonna do TikTok for sure. I think TikTok's interface is um more for engaging. Like one of the things that I like is how like say blacking out, if you wanted to be a part of the chat, like you could request, and then your little window opens up on there, and now you could choose your face, or you could just let your voice be heard, and all of that stuff. I think is really cool about TikTok, but it like I said, it feel like a Ponzi scheme, because like everybody is like, you know, share, and I want to get to this next level, and um I want to be a D1. I want to be a C1. I want to be B, and I want to be top percentage. It's just like a rat race. I don't know. And so that's the aspect that I don't really like. I really like the part of just getting on and fooling around. Like I followed this one guy on TikTok, and Like some of the things, these some of the things that I've kind of like searched, like, because I don't necessarily search people, I search ideas. And one of the ideas I searched was um, homeschool. So you could just see like a bunch of stuff on homeschool. You could see mostly homeschoolers talking about it. I didn't look up black homeschoolers and black homeschool groups, but I'm betting that all of that stuff is out there. Um, it's just a way. I think that's what TikTok does. It has better community establishment. YouTube, like you can engage with your fans or whatever, but typically you're not like hearing their voices. You're not seeing their face. They're less tangible on YouTube. Yeah, I hate scammers too, bro. I hate it. It's irritating because it's just like if you now I get why people scam because maybe they don't have the skills required to make a decent living. And so, hey, I'm pretty good at telling people what they want to hear. And, I can, because you can scam people without much overhead. It doesn't take a lot of money to scam people, you know. As soon as you get a phone, that's why, they had quote unquote Nigerian scammers. They was just out here just, you know, calling old people. You get old people real easy. Old people are really easy to scam because, you know, a lot of times they're under engaged and sometimes they just be looking for somebody to talk to. And this message is held for review. Let me see what it's saying. Man, where you coming from? I don't. So here's the thing. What I'll say about your question right there. I don't. I'm gonna show it. I don't engage in porn. I don't engage in porn because you put in that search right there. Did you just ask me that question right there? Do you like blank blank Latina? That ain't gonna give you nothing but porn or like pornographic minded individuals. Um, and sure, there's that element on there, but that's a trap. All of that type stuff is a trap. I'm not. I think people get on that because they're not fulfilled, and then some people they get on it because they have issues with self control, and um, so yeah, that self control. When you lose control of like your desire, and it become like an inordinate desire where all you can think about is that. That's when people start going into them search engines and they just like they spend every waking moment. Let me go to this website and let me go to this website and oh let me watch this and it's just consume, consume, consume. And before you know it, like it's like being addicted. You stuck. And like you like, man, I probably should stop or I probably should do something else. But you stuck. It got you captive. And that's what sin does. That's what sin is. That's the type of sin. But sin does that same thing. It just gets you stuck. You just get in this cycle where you stuck.
Oh my god!
You get into your mind where, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do this. And then you stop doing it. And then if you good for a little while, but then you get right back into it. And so um I just know me. And so certain things I'm just not gonna be a part of. I just one, I like my freedom. I like being free. And sin is bondage, and I don't want to be bound. And so I keep my mind stayed on on good things. Keep my mind on the Lord. I know that's not where this post started, but that's who I am. That's what I do. That's what I'm about. Cause you asked me, so I told you. Um, but yeah, I also looked up church on TikTok. I saw they was talking about Marvin Sapp when he locked the people up, or they quote unquote locked the people up in the church. He didn't actually lock them up. He said close the doors. Um, but then it was just a bunch of other stuff about church. I was just like, this not really what I was looking for. Um, I looked up what else I looked up. I looked up African showers. Um, and so or black woman showers. There's like this black woman TikTok, and they talk about like how to quote unquote properly clean. And it's funny because TikTok is a pretty diverse place, I would say. But you have like white influencers that go on there and they're like, you know what? I I don't feel like I was dirty or anything, but I definitely wasn't doing this. I yes, I shower and I do that. But this, wow. And I just it's funny because my wife, she not on TikTok, but Instagram gets a lot of the TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, they get a lot of the trends. It usually start on TikTok, really. It seemed like maybe even X, but it starts on TikTok and then it makes its way to the other socials. But she got into this thing because she used to not do a lot of self care, just because having multiple children is not really consistent with self care when they're young. But she got to this thing now where like she has this whole routine. Like after she gets out the shower, she's got to put the lotion on. She putting the oil on. You got to lock it in and moisturize your skin and this and that. And she got that from Instagram. And Instagram is also like this hustle place. It's a digital marketplace because, not Instagram, TikTok. Um, because you have all of these things where people their page is all about selling. They have the product on. Usually it's probably from China, and you can buy it for like $6 or 18. It's cheaper than you could normally buy in these other stores. And I just think it's funny because supposedly next month TikTok is going to be becoming an American company. It's going to be forced to sell. And so I'm curious to see how how that works out. From a security standpoint, I understand why, what the push is behind selling TikTok, just because it's like a compromised situation in terms of like military and civilian, and they just have a lot of information. China got everything they want on us. Welcome back, buddy. And so, um, I don't know. I'm rambling at this point. I probably need to get something to eat. Let me tell you what I had to eat today. I had two McDonald's sausage egg McMuffins, not at the same time, but spread out. I had some Korean barbecue jerky. I had water. I had a Pepsi and like 4 or 5 pieces of chewing gum. That's what I ate all day. That's not good. That's not a good diet, and that's not a lot of food. Um, Alabama, you must have been here in a while. I always say I'm from Alabama, and people call it Sweet Home Alabama, but it ain't really that sweet. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not from here, so I can say that. I feel like I thought since I'm about to leave Alabama, let me get my impressions of Alabama. I'm all over the place. That's another thing. The influencer told me on TikTok, you gotta have a script and you gotta kind of have a roadmap about where you're gonna go. But I like to talk, so I'm gonna just talk. Um, Alabama was a very segregated state. I was not used to the segregation on this level. It does. Drinking water. Okay, I had jerky in Pepsi. Oh, that was so good. I hadn't had. My wife, she did like the zero with the artificial sugar and stuff, and so I don't really be drinking like the full stuff a lot. I also had a cup of coffee too. Pumpkin spice cup of coffee. It was really good. But yes, can I help you? What you need?
I need to watch TV.
You need to watch TD. Okay, TD
Yeah, in the gaming room.
in the gaming room. What's the gaming room? Is that the same room as schoolroom?
No, it's not the school. It's the living room.
Oh, all right. I'm gonna take care of you in a second, buddy. Let me wrap this live up.
Okay.
Okay. Um, what was I talking about? ADD. ADD. What was I talking about? Help me. You said jerky. Okay, you talking? I was talking about what I ate for food, but then I was talking about something else. Mmm. The more I think about it, the more it slips away. Mmm. I was talking about TikTok. Oh, Alabama. Alabama. And my issues with Alabama. So Alabama was a very segregated place. And the challenge is we're in the deep south. And so I thought that there was going to be this collectivism amongst black people. I can't remember what day. I think it might have been August the 5th or one of them days where they had the it's an anniversary basically for when those guys came out from Selma to Montgomery, and then they got hit on the head. They had the lady on the thing getting hit on the head with the chairs. That Aqua Negro and all these other people. Um, I can't remember what they call it. Fade in the water is what they call it. And so there was this, like, first it started with one guy. He threw up his hat, and he's fighting and he's going with one guy. Then they jumped him, and then the people saw, and they was like, nah, 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 it ain't about to go down like that. You know how back in the days, back in the '60s, a black man get his head beat in, and black people just kind of like deal with it because that's the way it was. But today it's not like that anymore. Montgomery is like majority black, and so they saw these guys jumping on them, and so they wasn't gonna let it go down like that. But and so I took that to mean that there was this collectivism amongst blacks down here. But what I found honestly was the opposite. Um, I found that there's some people that are like really, really nice and kind of open, but then a lot of people, it's like don't trust them. Like I don't know y'all, and so I don't trust you, and so I'm gonna hold you at arm's length. And so this was a different place. Um, Even on the military base, I think the concept of segregation even crossed the military gate lines because people down here were definitely weird. I had supervisors that were definitely weird to black people. Like you could tell they didn't have a lot of experience with blacks, and it was just like no real desire to get to know, just surface level, like you're different, hey, it's cool, or not, and you're not necessarily attempting to fit in, so we're gonna put you in the outside group. That was my experience from a military perspective. Um, but yeah, Alabama, it was tough, man. It was tough. It was tough because I'm used to these military towns being a little bit more military friendly, and I don't know. I felt like this place could have been more military friendly. I'm excited though because this next assignment, we had an assignment before in Oklahoma, like 10 years ago, in fact, and so I'm excited. 10, maybe 10. No, it might have been close to 11, close to 11 years ago, because my daughter was born there. She's 10 plus. But anyway, close to 11 years, and we lived in that small military town. Some of my wife's best friends were white, and that's just military because there's not a lot of black officers. And so you end up just a lot of times, especially for my wife, I kick it with who my wife kicks it with. But my wife, historically, again, because there's not been a lot of black officers, she has gotten shut out from the main like officer spouses groups. Um, and so a lot of times she would end up befriending the enlisted spouses in my unit. Like if I was a flight commander, she would end up befriending them. Dave D said, "What's up, Dave? It's surprising. I grew up in a military family, and we were like the only white people around." Ha! Which branch? Army? Yeah, Army. Yeah, yeah. It just, I think a big part of it, honestly, is um, because I'm an officer. A lot of that, because again, because there's this weird dynamic where okay, my wife is not military, but in the military, officers can't just be hanging around with enlisted persons. That's called fraternization. And then what you what you didn't necessarily want to get into was you didn't want to get into a situation. If somebody wanted to get me, they probably could have got me. Um, you didn't want to get in a situation where, oh, Captain Jackson's this I was captain at the time. Captain Jackson's wife, she friends with so and so, and that's why so and so's wife, and that's why they did better than this person who she's not friends with. Um, and so that's a thing, and so a lot of times, like she would be friends with them, and I didn't go over there. I couldn't because again, you want to maintain impartiality, and your people are going to talk. They're going to talk. Because my wife, she was literally, she still talks to this she still talks to her friend to like years and years later. It was 2015, I think, when she met them. They helped us with homeschool, and like they were two peas in a pod. And what, buddy?
I need to watch TV very badly.
Very badly. Go clean your room up. Yeah.
I just did to watch TV.
You gonna watch TV after you clean your room. See how I got him? His room a mess. Got him. That'll take care of him for a little bit. Um, but anyway, she was like best friends with this enlisted guy's wife. And I ain't gonna lie. Um, you can get in compromising situations like that. Now, it just so happened her husband was a pretty good airman, and so he was my training NCOIC, and he did a fantastic job. He was like perfect with training, um, and so he did well, but he wasn't like my number one, my top, so my top. Um, he
Do you
wasn't
have
my top NCO.
Sammy?
Yes.
Do you have Sammy?
No.
Who? Where's Sammy?
All right. This this live's about over. We got a missing baby. Uh, or baby probably asleep. I don't know. But anyway, um, yeah, I honestly have not had a ton of officer friends. I came in with the same guy that I went to OTS, officer training school with. He was a Filipino officer, medical officer. Marcus probably a lieutenant colonel, maybe almost a colonel now. Um, but I came in and him and my his wife and my wife, they were really good friends. Both of them went through like some tough times. Um, when I was changing career fields, my wife was really stressed out, and she kind of just balled up into herself, as kind of like a coping mechanism. And his wife, I think she had a miscarriage or something like that, and my wife didn't find out until later. And she looked at my wife like a sister. Wife wasn't there, and she was like, "Well, shoot, I guess we ain't as close. I guess it wasn't what I thought it was." And then wife tried to rekindle it, and it was never rekindlable. Rekindleable? Probably not. But they couldn't get it back. And I finally had to just kind of like pull my wife back to the side by bag. It's over. It's over. You're done. That that relationship is run its course. It's okay. You know. Um. But yeah, since then I'm trying to think of like any officer friends that I've had. I haven't. Besides when I deployed, and those officer friends, my two bros, and they both of them are out the military, retired. But yeah, I saw this post. Since I'm riffing, I saw this army. Yeah, I think she was a sergeant. She was NCO, and she was talking about how some people will be talking about how blacks and browns shouldn't join the military, and that she said that upset her because and she said they shouldn't join because of racism. Is there racism in the military? Absolutely, in every branch. Every branch is racism. It exists. It's still a thing. We are not a post-racial society just yet. Um, is it better than it was? Maybe. I mean, back in the day, it used to be overt. Now it's just covert. So maybe it's not. Um, but anyway, um, she's the soldier. She said that upset her because this was like the best opportunity for um, for obtaining generational wealth because you get your um, educational benefits and you get your home benefits, your VA loan. I will say this: that VA loan has definitely come in clutch. I have moved into homes where we didn't put any money down. They paid the closing costs. Um, we might not put anything down on the house, but you got to pay for like inspections and stuff like that. So you might pay like this past house we just closed on today. We probably paid about $2,000 maybe um, through the entire course of it. But if you factor in that permissive TDY that came out of the pocket, which was more than 2,000, you factor in like all of the funds, it probably was like $4,000, $5,000. But again, took $5,000 to get a home. Normally, you got to put 20% of the loan. I mean, 20% of the total price of the home as a down payment, and then closing costs. So I don't know how other people buy homes like straight up. I don't know. I feel like maybe they sold a home after they gained money and then they take that profit from that and then they roll it over into a new home. That's like how the generational wealth does it, maybe. But like my I don't know. I honestly don't know. How do you save up 20%? I feel like you almost need to be in a rent to own situation. Um, because the crazy thing is although you can't afford that 20% to for that down payment, you end up in the long run paying more money because every place that I own, every investment property that I currently possess, my renter pays more than what my mortgage requires. There's a reason recruiters target poor areas. How many men I saw come from Detroit in the South? Not many from Cape Cod and the Hamptons. The loans are 3.5 down. That's how I did mine. Oh, the FHA loan, yeah, for sure, for sure. Can you use more than one at a time? Could you like buy investment properties with that? Yeah, 3.5% is much better. But even still, like if you paying 500K 500K times 3.5 is still, right? Still a decent amount of money. Um, I don't know. There's challenges. There's definitely challenges. Um, but no, I with regards to the military, I know for me, I it has been it has been a pleasure to serve in the military. It is no kidding been a pleasure to serve. I am thankful for the opportunity to serve, and I think it's not necessarily all the time because of because people talk about fraternity. It's a fraternity, and it's a brotherhood. Um, everybody in there is not in that same fraternity. Everybody's not in that doesn't have that same amount of brotherhood. Again, for me, because I don't do. I think maybe if I lived my life a different way, maybe I wouldn't be isolated as an officer because I'm not one of those dudes that's like, hey man, let's go out for drinks, let's go hang out, let's go to the let's come over to the house, we can get something on the grill, we can get some beers, knock some beers back and watch the game. That's not me. um it was a chunk for sure. 20% wasn't happening. And then you get uh oh yeah, that mortgage, yeah. Yeah, it's expensive, man. It's ridiculously expensive, ridiculously expensive. Um, being a being a property manager, I have, I mean not a property manager because I don't manage my properties. Being a property owner, having investment properties is expensive too. I literally just dropped almost 4 G's on the new HVAC. My renter was they reached out to the property management company, and